Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Steve Petteruti here in the studio live with Shannon. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning.
It's a great morning, isn't it?
It's wonderfully cold out there.
I like that. Good morning, Nick. How you feeling back there, buddy? Hey, Nick, did your check arrive yet from Gina Raimondo, your scholarship? Showing up. It's gonna. So think about how ironic it is that we'll have hard-working Rhode Islanders, recent high school graduates, paying their car tax to subsidize the welfare state that will evolve around the free college tuition kids. How's that a good thing? If you get a job right out of high school, you get nothing except for a tax that in part goes to subsidize free tuition of other kids. I got to get off that topic, but it does bother me immensely. It's just such a misguided, good-hearted but misguided focus. Okay, in France, I'll say this one more thing, and then I'm going to move on, folks, I promise. So today we're going to be talking about confirmation bias, the concept of whose life is this anyway? Confirmation bias, whose life is this anyway? When it comes to medicine, these two factors intertwine to create an environment of coercion in some cases. Now, Shannon, we're going to be talking about that this morning. But first, congratulations, Shannon, another step forward in your brilliant career. You are now fully licensed as a nurse practitioner in the state of Rhode Island.
That's right. Finally, everything came in.
So you can do it all.
I can.
You can run intellectual medicine.
I can.
You can.
Yeah.
Does this
Nervous?
Does this mean I'm going to get fired?
No, come on.
Is that what happened when my locks didn't work the other day when I showed up?
Well, we're just, we're practicing.
Yeah, practicing. So, you make yourself dispensable, Nick, and this is what happens. Nick, my tip for you behind the booth, don't let anybody else know how to operate your equipment. Make yourself indispensable. So confirmation bias, and folks, we're going to be talking about medical marijuana today. Not only its clinical implications, but the state of its existence in Rhode Island. What are the economic factors, the practical elements, and we have as our guest, going by the pseudonym Marley, an expert in medical marijuana. He is one of the region, if not the country's, leading developers of medical marijuana products. There's nobody more skilled nor expert in his field than Marley.
I'd say you're passionate.
Passionate's a good word to use. Yeah, we've known Marley for a long time. He has helped many patients, and his reward for all of this is that he has to operate in the shadows. And we're going to explain why, and he's going to explain why, and it's going to be an enlightening conversation. But, first we have to get to this. We actually have, Shannon, in our studio right here, just a brilliant new author. And I think, wow. I think that, Shannon, it's incumbent upon you to introduce our new guest, new published author. Who are we talking about, Shannon?
Oh, maybe that's you.
Maybe it's...
Maybe.
Maybe that would be me?
Maybe.
So anything that you want to know about my new book?
Anything I want to know about it. Why don't you tell the readers what it's about?
The book, folks, is called The Cancer Machine. It is my first fiction novel. It's available on Amazon. Right? How do they find that book if you want to go buy it?
So you can just go on Amazon and just type in The Cancer Machine. We also have it on our blog, on our website, and, of course, Facebook. There's links to it.
Now, this is a fiction novel, and I got to tell you the backstory because I think it's interesting, and so it's my radio show, so I can talk about what I want, right? That's how this works. By the way, folks, our show, fully independent. We are intellectual medicine. We are fully independent. We take no sponsors. Our guests appear free. Having said that, we'll move on to my book. I guess in a way I'm sponsoring myself with this book, right?
You are.
Okay. Right, maybe I'm violating my own rule here. I don't know. No, The Cancer Machine, I started to write that 20 years ago, and when Shannon and I started seeing one another, God, this is 8 years ago, she picked up threads of the story, pieces of paper scattered about, and she began reading it and said, this is good. You got to finish this. I want to know how it ends. And that, folks, is why I finished the book, because Shannon put it in front of me and said, you are not doing anything else until this gets completed. And now it's done cover to cover. It's about a brilliant medical student who makes it his passion and discovers a cure for cancer, a profound step forward. And the way that this gets introduced to the world and the way that the world reacts is the energy that drives this medical thriller. It's a fantastic read, a page-turner. I'll leave it at that. We'll be talking more about it, and there'll be, in the future, book signings, correct?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. The That's
big
right.
time, baby.
The paper, the actual book will be in about 4 weeks, but the electronic
Excellent.
copy is available now.
So you can start reading. Go there, and I think they can read the first two chapters for free, right?
They can.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, I know you all didn't tune in to hear about fiction novels, and rest assured, my nonfiction book, Born to be Fat, is soon to come out, and that'll be followed by the nonfiction book, the Intellectual Medicine 120, How to Live 120 Healthy Years. Well, to do that, folks, we've got to connect the dots. So what is confirmation bias, and how does it affect medicine, and by extension, affect you? And what about medical coercion? It turns out that confirmation bias is when you already have concluded an outcome and you are simply looking for validation. Two people can look at the same information and arrive at entirely different conclusions. A recent study was done on the drug Repatha. Evolocumab is the generic name. This is a drug that can lower your LDL cholesterol from 90, already treated, some people that were already treated with atorvastatin and other cholesterol drugs, all the way down to 30. Well, many in the medical community thought this would put an end to heart disease. It's going to obliterate cholesterol as a cause. And to their credit, Amgen, the manufacturer, put this drug to an outcomes result. Now, oftentimes in medicine, drugs come to the market by virtue of having an effect on numbers, such as cholesterol, without proven benefit to your health. In fact, in some cases, it can cause harm to your health. There was a drug, torcetrapib, that showed an ability to increase HDL. Well, HDL is the good cholesterol, and the presumption was that it would help you prevent heart disease. In fact, people were dying more quickly on the drug. An uncomfortable little detail that caused it not to come to market. Other drugs like Zetia, like gemfibrozole, have an effect on numbers, have never been shown to help prevent disease or heart attacks. So now comes Repatha, a once-a-day injectable drug that in the study did decrease heart attacks and strokes by about 15%. That's a good thing. It cost about $14,000 a year. This reduction was quite modest. So in confirmation bias world, people looked at that and said, great, it's an outcome, it's fabulous. The simplicity of current medical thinking is the correlation of one variable to a medical outcome. That is, let's pound cholesterol. Let's make it low, 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 and that's going to save heart disease. What does cholesterol do, and what might be the potential outcome of obliterating its level? Well, it turns out cholesterol is a precursor, that is, it's necessary to make neurotransmitters. These are the little things that make your brain go. It's also a precursor to your sex hormones. What would happen if you obliterated cholesterol below the threshold needed to maintain healthy levels of neurotransmitters and healthy levels of sex hormones? Might it accelerate dementia? Might it amplify depression? Might it increase the attributes of low hormones, such as bone atrophy? We don't know. These are open questions. It doesn't mean the drug's bad or shouldn't be used. It just means we need to go cautiously and with an open mind. It also means that there are multiple threads to the story. Now let's turn the page to chelation. We do this at Intellectual Medicine. We're the leaders in the region. It's an intravenous treatment, a mixture of vitamins and calcium EDTA that helps to leach out toxic metals and has been shown in studies to diminish the risk of death, stroke, heart attack, catheterizations, and all-cause complications in patients with known vascular disease, above and beyond what conventional medicine can give. Now that result was better than the result in the Repatha study. Confirmation bias. The reason many of you have never heard of chelation and your cardiologist recoils at its mention, perhaps, is because they don't believe it, and the study didn't change their mind. We have to highlight this because heart disease and stroke are still the #1 killers. And our lifestyle contributes to that accelerated rate of premature heart disease. A patient in my practice had an HDL, Shannon, of 82. That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I think great.
High
Doing
HDL,
well.
yes. In her early 50s, we did advanced studies looking at her arteries called a calcium score. Her calcium score was over 1,000. Her arteries were petrified like the petrified forest, full of calcium. Heart disease waiting to happen. It's because of this that we cannot rely solely on cholesterol numbers. We've got to look beyond. The advanced intellectual medicine approach is looking at the arteries directly. Another confirmation bias has to do with testosterone. We're going to come back to that, but we are going to introduce our guest after the break. We'll talk about at the end of the show the confirmation bias and the role of testosterone therapy. But when we come back, we'll be talking to Marley about medical marijuana. Stay tuned. This is Dr. Petteruti with Shannon on Intellectual Medicine, WPRO. Maybe we get a Bob Marley tune, eh? Maybe we get a Bob Marley tune on the cut-in or something? I wanted to get to testosterone, but I kind of ran out of time. Yeah. Did that make sense, that whole vascular study thing?
Yeah. I don't know if you said enough, like, that it's not... Why? Because I was almost waiting for you to say it, and maybe you said it, about you could have these great outcomes, but really there's no pharmaceutical company behind it. Who's behind it? No one.
That's a good point.
It's like vitamin D. It's like all these other things that are great, like vitamin C for cancer.
Right.
You have this drug, it's $14,000 per person.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be great.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not great, but I mean, they're going to say that.
You know what, I can finish that detail when we come back from the break and then introduce Marley, because we can keep Marley over the commercial break at the bottom of the hour,
right,
if the conversation's extended. That's a very good point. Without a profit motive and a pharmacologic... Hey there, Nick.
I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
That's no longer Seascape. So
Okay. Is it something else?
WPRO News Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're looking for a new sponsor, eh? It's open.
Yes, yeah. Guess so.
It used to be Seascape, now it's just the WPRO News Center at the bottom of the hour.
Yeah. I think Seascape is like sponsoring other parts of WPRO now. Like they put their time, they put their advertising money in it.
They redirected it. So it's, what is it called now? The WPRO
News Center.
News Center.
Yeah.
With Doug Lizette.
Yeah.
All right.
I almost forgot to tell you.
So maybe we should have it sponsored by Intellectual Medicine,
No.
Shan.
No. We need sponsors.
I like the ring of it.
Yeah.
A little long-winded, but I like it.
A little long.
Hey everybody, are we still streaming?
We are.
We're streaming. Cool. Hey, you guys can call, and this is going to be very interesting. We're talking about medical marijuana, and at the end, I will give you my my take on medical marijuana, whether or not it's legitimate, how it should be used or not used, and also the whole bigger question of marijuana, should it be legal or not. And we have some information out of Colorado regarding crime rates, and we have some opinions from law enforcement leaders, and it's an interesting public debate that I think needs to continue. You know, the story about how medical marijuana came to be is, oops, we're being paged. Intellectual medicine does not, but the health insurance can be used to pay for medications and lab studies that sometimes are ordered.
Try not to.
What's that level? Oh yeah, sorry, I got a little itchy nose. Tough, you know. I forget we're like constantly being watched. Oh boy. Confirmation bias. I like that concept. You know, it explains a lot of the reasons why two people look at the same thing and come away with a different conclusion. We're going to talk about that with regard to testosterone later in the show. In fact, you streamers get the inside dope here. So here's the results of a study on men being treated for low testosterone. There were 51,000 of them over 65 years of age. And at the end, they concluded they had improvement in their sex drive, in their erections, in their bone density, in their hemoglobin, in their mood. These all got better. You know what the conclusion was? It's not worth doing. That's confirmation bias. We didn't think it was worth doing to begin with. We don't think these particular outcomes, although positive, are worth the risk. There is no known risk. There are theoretical concerns. Might it increase your risk of heart disease or stroke? Possible, unproven, still being studied. There are outcomes that show benefit with regard to the heart. And the missing variable is the manner in which it's applied. In the study, they need one method of application, thus it becomes a studyable entity through the scientific method. In clinical practice, we don't use the topical gels very much, and when we do, they're very different doses, and they're compounded specific to the patient. Oops, I'm being paged. Say again? Am I back? I am back. Little Eric Clapton. That Eric Clapton? That's Eric Clapton. I'm thinking, we thought it'd be nice to lead with a little bar. I love that song, though. You know, it's, I don't know. I don't quite get all the lyrics. By the way, we don't endorse shooting sheriffs. Let me just go on the record. Yeah, but it's a good song. Well, listen, we do have Marley on the line, but Marley, hang with us for a minute, because before we bring you in, I wanted to finish my thought on this whole confirmation bias. Why does a drug costing $14,000 a year make the cover of New England Journal of Medicine, and the tax trial chelation therapy gets buried? And Shannon, you brought up a very good point on the break. One has drug sponsorship with colossal profit motive. Colossal, we're talking billions with a B. Chelation therapy, folks, can't be patented. It's a bunch of vitamins. It's cheap. It's administered by doctors like me, who aren't really part of the club, and it can't be controlled by big pharma. The same holds true for intravenous vitamin C for cancer. Safe, non-patentable. Let me emphasize that in the study on chelation, zero complication rates, like nobody got sick, nobody got hurt. The same cannot be said for drug studies. We're going to go on. This is a common topic we're going to come back to because it has a lot to do with why science is moving faster than medicine. And medicine hates it. They don't like it when you do your own research. They don't like it when you come to them with fresh ideas. They want you to listen to their dogma. It's coercive, it is limited, and it corrupts and compromises your freedom. And speaking of freedom, that's a good note to bring in Marley. Good morning, Marley. Thanks for being with us. You're on Intellectual Medicine with Dr. Petteruti and Shannon. Man, we're doing great. First, Shannon and I want to thank you for the great work you do for so many patients, so many people. And I can vouch for this, Shannon, right? We've seen it firsthand.
We have.
The patients that Marley encounters are uniformly impressed by your professionalism, your expertise, and the help you render them. You got a great heart, brother. Well, listen, he pays nothing to be on this show. He's volunteering his time, and he's going on a pseudonym because Marley operates in the gray zone of what is a very ambiguous environment. So I thought it'd help our listeners just to get an overview. What is it like out there in the world of medical marijuana? Let's start, Marley, with how does a caregiver, to explain to our listeners what a medical marijuana caregiver is. Now, how many patients can a medical caregiver take care of? Okay. And how does an individual who has a medical marijuana card find a caregiver? So it's a word of mouth thing. Well, tell us about the dispensaries. What's the difference between what you do and what a dispensary does? Okay. So they are a retail outlet engineered to produce and sell medical marijuana to whoever shows up with a card. Right. So here I am. I've got my card. I walk into the dispensary. and I present it to the folks there, how do they know what to give me? And are these people certified? Is there a training program that one has to go through to become an employee at a dispensary? Right, right. Now I got to tell you, folks, I'm a board certified family physician, and I've lived through the evolution of medical marijuana, and this was imposed upon medicine from above. This came from the State House, isn't that right, Marley? The State House decided they were going to practice medicine, and they decided medical marijuana was a net benefit, and they decided that the Department of Health would be forced to administer this program. And the Department of Health oversees it. I believe that's correct too, don't they? Right. So you've got state bureaucracies practicing medicine as an extension of the State House. And here I am sitting in my office, and I got to write the card. Now listen, I've written the card because I think it helps patients. But we get no particular training as physicians and providers. As a nurse practitioner, Shannon, did you get lectures about medical marijuana?
No, nothing.
We don't know
No
the
idea.
doses.
No.
We don't know the ingredients. Basically, it'd be like writing a ticket and saying, this is your ticket for OxyContin. I don't know anything about it. Just go to the store and work it out with the proprietor. That's about the size.
Pretty much.
Unbelievable. But now, tell us how you acquired your expertise. You've been at this a long time, and you're nationally acclaimed for your skill. So a lot of this is sweat equity. It's OJT, on the job training. Now this is a growing industry, is it not? We're talking billions, and we're talking jobs, right? Now, can you get a job if you go to CCRI, major marijuana? Can that happen? How about if I got a scholarship from Gina Raimondo? Would I get a job coming out of URI in medical marijuana? And where did you get your degree in medical marijuana? What college did you go to? Yeah. I got you. So these high-paying jobs of the future are not to be found through the college pathway. Interesting. Listen, can you stay with us? We need to take a break, Marley, but when I come back, I want to talk about, to our listeners, what they should consider using, when, and how. I am Dr. Petteruti, and up next, Doug Lizette at the WPRO News Center. Good morning, Doug.
It is, I don't think that many people know, like, the difference in, like, the oils and edibles, and that you can get it without the chemicals in it.
Without the THC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm going to bring up next. Mm-hmm. Feel free to butt in or interrupt with questions and stuff, especially if you're thinking something, because sometimes I'm talking, I can't process.
Just kind of like
Oh yeah, oh that's right. So you guys can't hear this. Marley was just telling us about the medical dispensaries, the marijuana dispensaries, and these are folks that have no training, they have no particular skill. There's no requirement for them to do anything other than punch a time card and show up. So you have doctors who don't know what to prescribe, giving a free pass to patients to bring to the dispensary that doesn't know what they're doing, other than selling lots of marijuana and making a bucket of money. When we come back, we'll talk about the not-for-profit. Did you see those quotes floating in the air? Not-for-profit centers, and what a boondoggle this is turning into. And the way they're using the state police as a strong-arm tactic to crush competition. A gentleman was recently arrested for trying to dispense medical marijuana in a very innocent manner, and we're going to be highlighting his plight. But yeah, this whole thing is a mess. And the rush to profit is what's driving it, and the state controlling it makes it very ripe for corruption. When you have a state that can grant certificates to dispensaries to the chosen few. Who gets them, and how do they get them? Those are fair questions. Everybody I know, Shan, that has these things are all connected. They know somebody.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they released, what was it, there was only so many, 5 dispensaries in Rhode Island or something, and
Right.
when you look at who got them,
Right.
they're all connected to the state.
Then they all have big money, and they all
Shocking.
have big lobbyists, and it's they're crushing out Marleys of the world. So you've got these mom and pops out there trying to dispense some marijuana to their 5 clients that they service,
Who actually know what they're doing.
who actually know what they're doing. And you've got, Marijuana R Us Inc. churning out cannabis at high rates to whoever has a ticket. Nuts. So he'll come back. We'll have another section with Marley, and then we'll wrap it up and we'll close on a different note.
Yeah.
I think I'll talk about the NIH study on the testosterone trial. When we come back after Marley's break. What's happening in Rhode Island this weekend? Anything?
I don't know.
Any highlights?
I'm writing your book on the bottom here in the comments. Gotta get some people to review it. See what they think.
The book.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I can't imagine even read it yet, but it's only been out for like.
Well, we've got that one quote from the editor.
Yeah, I put it up on the.
You did? You're brilliant. You are truly
good.
brilliant. Hey, Nick. When we come back, we'll highlight URI on Sunday. Their NCAA run. Anything else happening in Rhode Island? They're demolishing the Fogarty building. I may make a comment on that. I like the way they describe the Fogarty building, Shannon. They call it brutalist architecture. Is that another word for ugly?
It's pretty ugly. There was a lot of cement there.
A lot of cement.
It really was.
Catholic Charity Appeal is a really worthwhile endeavor. They're like 90% of their money hits the street.
Well,
That's worthy of a mention. Tony Mascara, M-A-S.
Promo code PAGS, P-A-G-S, blinds.com, promo code PAGS, rules and restrictions apply.
Into the, what is he getting inducted into? What do you do to earn that?
Customized for you. $100 to try it out. Go to helixsleep.com/talkradio and get $50 off your order.
Okay.
.com/talkradio.
News Talk 630 at 99.7 FM. WPRO presents Medicine. Dr. Petteruti. Join Dr. Petteruti as he guides people to
Sorry.
lifespan. Now we take you with well-applied logic, reason, and scientific evidence to address conditions that drain people of their joy and vitality while protecting people from the harmful aspects of conventional medicine. Now, here's Dr. Steve Petteruti.
Hello, everybody. I am back. We'll be back with Marley in one moment. But first, we want to highlight a couple of exciting things happening in your beautiful state of Rhode Island. It is a glorious weekend. No better place to be. And happy St. Patrick's Day and happy St. Joseph's Day. Right? St. Patrick was famous for, what did he do? He drove the rats out of Ireland or something with his flute. What did he do? The patron saint? No, right? That's what he did.
Really?
I believe he did. Now, listen, if there's a listener out there who knows his history, I believe it was St. Patrick who played music, and all the rats followed him and plummeted to their death into the ocean. And I think that's his myth. Now,
And that's why everyone drinks today. What does that have to do with it?
well, they were so happy that they could get drunk and fall asleep and not worry about rats eating their toes while they slept. So that was a good thing. But what did Saint Joseph do to become the patron saint of Italy?
He baked really good things.
Now, you know what I think he did? I think he played a flute and let all the Irish out of Italy. I think that's what he did. But it's a beautiful time to celebrate our collective, integrated, multicultural heritages. It's just a glorious thing. So everybody embrace each other in the moment. It's a great weekend. And URI, right, Nick? Kudos to them. They're in the NCAA. Moving on to, they beat Creighton. I was very happy for that. Well, everybody knew URI's on a roll here, right? They're healthy, and they play Sunday. Do you have any idea what time that is? 7 o'clock. And listen, kudos are going out to our own Tony Mascara from WPRO, being inducted into the Rhode Island Radio Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Now, Nick, you have some backstory on Tony. He used to do... CM and the PM. Oh, good for him. Well, congratulations, Tony. Hey, Shan, I like that kind of like moniker, right? TM and the PM.
No, don't even think about it.
Maybe we should do something a little more jazzy, right?
Jazzy?
Yeah, I am 120
No.
with SNS.
Oh my!
No?
Oh no! No, no, Nick, don't ever do it.
We need to bring Marley back. And stay with us, folks. We're going to wrap up the show. We're going to be talking about testosterone, its benefit and risk at the very end. Very important information. Hey, Marley, you still there, brother? All right, so here we are. What is the most common thing that you see clients seeking care for? All right, so would you say that you see more, how about pain, just chronic pain? Okay. All right. Now, tell us the difference. Well, let me ask this question. THC is the component of marijuana that causes the altered mental status. Is that correct? All right. Psychoactive effect. Thank you. Now, you can manufacture it in a way that either eliminates or minimizes that, can't you? Right. Right. So let me build a bridge over the technical part of it for you, though. You have at the end of your manufacturing process, depending on what products you pick, the ability to deliver a product that has lower levels of THC. So in other words, folks can use this, manufacture it in a way, if you're an elderly individual with chronic pain, you don't have to worry about being in a psycho stupor. Okay. Okay. Right. So CBD, for our listeners not familiar with it, is a component of the plant that has therapeutic value but does not have the psychoactive component. Is that correct? Right. Now, how much of your business, what percentage of it is CBD centered? So nearly half of what you do is without the THC. Now, when you get those prescriptions or those cards, the doctors don't have any idea whether it's THC or CBD. They don't know how to direct a patient. Right. So you can help guide the dosing. You can help. In fact, if a client of yours is having an adverse effect, they can call you up and say, "Hey, I'm not feeling good," and you can analyze a problem and help adjust. And this is a. Go ahead. Okay. Right now, an oil is manufactured. Marley, is the oil something that they rub on their skin? Okay, so the oils are manufactured most often as an edible form, so they don't have to smoke it. They don't have to worry about pipes and paraphernalia. They can just take it as a candy. Yep. Wow. Now, is the THC an important part of its medicinal value, or is it more the CBD? So the THC can have a niche, but the CBD is more therapeutic in many cases. This is utterly fascinating, Shannon. Did you know this?
I haven't known any of this.
Yeah, you know, and unfortunately, Marley, it seems to me that the medical marijuana program has, to a degree, a reputation as being a cheap way for people to get high, because some people using these cards simply to get their weed. Yeah, and there's no way to discriminate one from the other. Right. Now tell us about these dispensaries. These are not-for-profit centers that are strictly there for the humanitarian good. Not-for-profit, they're kind of like Catholic charities. Isn't that about right? They're just there. Now, how come you don't own a dispensary, Marley? I mean, nobody's more expert at it than you. Can't you get together with a couple of investors and open up a dispensary? So what's stopping you? Why not do that? I don't understand. What's this upper class brand you're talking about? Yeah. So they want to control the market. Now, $400 for an ounce. Now, are you familiar with the incident with a pot club owner in Providence, the Warren retired firefighter? His name is Patrick Ramashitis. Ramashitis is how I can best pronounce it. Yeah, and he was arrested for marijuana distribution, and he's a caregiver.
Dispensary.
Yeah. This concerns us gravely at Intellectual Medicine, and it has to do with freedom and the freedom of individuals to choose the manner in which they're going to receive their care. Well, you know what? Let's do this. So let's not go down that pathway. I think that's yet to be adjudicated, and I can't speak to the details of this case. I only know what I read in the paper, which is very little. But both you and I can appreciate the landscape that's evolving, where we've got dispensaries that are opened by people that are well-financed, politically connected, hiring lobbyists, that are opening up, and can you see my quotes floating in the air, not-for-profit, right, making crazy money, cash money pouring in, and you've got, and they can hire whoever they want. There are no regulations, there's no training, there's no expertise required. Any mucking you muck off the street, oh, if you happen to be the second cousin of somebody who's connected, it doesn't hurt. And now you're working at the dispensary, not-for-profit, driving company cars, making 6- and 7-figure salaries for people paying all this dough. And yet, a caregiver, such as yourself, you're not allowed to charge any money. There's a law against you and people like you charging money. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Well, they want you to go broke. In my view, folks, the dispensaries are politically connected, and they are manipulating the law and using the state and local police to crush the competition. I was talking, Marley, with Steve McCartney, our chief of police in Warwick. A better public servant there is not to be had, more honest and direct. And he shared with me the chaos of this law, the great difficulty that they're having interpreting it. You know, who is breaking the law and who isn't. It's a poorly written and poorly structured delivery. However we feel individually about medical marijuana, the manner in which it's been constructed, folks, is ripe for corruption. You've got a select few being able to open dispensaries by given a grant from the state or permission from the state. To me, that's a recipe for disaster. Marley, your work is brilliant. And I know I can speak, right? How many millions have you pocketed so far, Marley? Are you rich yet?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, Marley, thanks for being with us on the radio show. We know that we had to protect your identity because you could be a target for retribution. He works hard, folks. He works honestly. He makes no money. That's Marley talking medical marijuana. I hope you come back, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Dr. Petteruti. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back with some thoughts on medical marijuana, on testosterone. I'm living to 120. This is WPRO. I'm here with Shannon and Nick. We'll talk in a moment.
Unbelievable, huh? And how is this okay? I don't understand. How does this all happen?
Yeah. Yep. How did it all happen? And we are, now the doctors are in the crosshairs. You know, if you administer your medical marijuana cards incorrectly, you can get reprimanded from the state. And now you've got a circumstance where we're the new drug dealers because we're prescribing opioids. And the doctor's saying, oh, screw this. I'm not going to prescribe Vicodin. I'll just give you a medical marijuana card.
Right. But then what happens if something happens to the patient? Who's liable?
Yeah. And what's happening with all these opioid overdoses? How many of those people have marijuana in their system concurrent to the narcotic? The state tracks opioid users with a computer program. What about marijuana? Do we know who's using?
Don't they have to be registered?
Yeah, but there's no way to know who they are. You can't
And where
go
they're getting it from, we have no idea. Hey, because we know, hey, you filled your,
As a physician, I
Vicodin.
can't go online and see
No.
if they had their marijuana filled. I can tell if they had their opioids filled.
right.
If you have your medical marijuana card, what's to stop you from going to several dispensaries and stockpiling weed?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Or you get it.
Oh, they're talking about platelet-rich plasma therapy.
No way.
Yeah, they just caught a highlight of it right prior to this.
You can do that and go to 3 different places and sell it to your friends.
Yeah. Is there a computer network in place that identifies where you last had it filled, how much you had filled, things like that? I'm not sure. That's where it'd be nice to have the Department of Health medical director come in and comment on this.
Maybe it is. Maybe there's like a.
Yeah.
Although, as someone who writes medical marijuana cards, you think that we'd have training and
Right.
we would know how to log into it and
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
who's been there.
And I think that there should be training and that you should be able to annotate whether or not that patient is authorized for THC or for CBD.
I was just going to say that. And what type? You get oil, you get, right. And the ratio.
Yeah, the dose.
Right. And
What's
that's what you
the
get.
maximum THC that should be allowed per day in the dosing? Yeah, this is crude medicine at best. 20 to Jesus, big blue bug.
Temperatures. I don't know. These temperatures need to,
They need to come up.
spring sports starting and it's
Are we evolving to a state where we're going to have 2
Snow out.
seasons? Winter and 4th of July? What is coming down? Just have to get used to it. It's going to snow tonight.
don't say that.
How's your rest of your day looking?
Busy. Gotta get the house ready.
Yay. Okay. You got a liner to read? What's it about? What's the show for?
Do we get paid for that when they take our time?
Oh,
Well, that's nice. That's nice.
Cool.
But I mean, we don't get paid when they take our time to read.
yeah, for a charity. It's public
Well, I mean, that's a
service.
little different, this one. But I'm saying other ones.
We need to have our own charity
We really
fundraising
do.
and things.
I gotta think of something.
What, baby?
I said, everyone on Facebook. Tell them to give us ideas for our nonprofit.
Oh, I think you just did. Hey, everybody on Facebook. So, Intellectual Medicine would like to expand our mission to include charitable associations, and we're looking for a good partner for that. And we're open to suggestions if you're aware of something that's highly valuable. That's a wonderful thing. I'm back. It's Dr. Petteruti, comedy to support the Children's Hospital. Hey man, doesn't get any better than that, does it? And that comedy connection is a nice little gem here in Rhode Island. You know, that this is part of our mission, Shannon. We're here in Intellectual Medicine to make people live longer and live better. So we want to highlight little hidden attributes of Rhode Island. Maybe not so hidden, but great things about living here. Listen, I've been all over the country. I had the privilege to serve in the military. Shannon, I know you lived in New Jersey for many, many years. You grew up there. Is there a better place in the country to live than this?
Yes, somewhere warmer.
Come on.
Anywhere warmer.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is nice, but I'd like a month of snow, and then that's it. And then it's 70.
Of snow, and that's it.
It's 70, snow 70.
Okay, folks, anybody can dial in with that climate for my wife, please do. Shannon would like 1 month of snow and then 70 degrees the other 11 months.
That's right.
I think there's a mountain on the top of Hawaii that may
too
fit
much
the
to
bill.
ask for that.
It might be a little bit much. It's a gorgeous state. Any other little gems you want to highlight? Folks, we're going to call that our gem highlight. I just made up a new thing, Shan. Our gem highlight, you can call in WPRO. How do they contact us at Intellectual Medicine?
For our gem highlights or
for anything, including gem highlights.
They can call us, of course.
Yeah, how do they do that?
They can 401 if anyone has a pen right now. Who has pens anymore? 921-5934. They can go on Facebook, of course, our website, im-120.com.
Or they can give Nick a call. Listen, we're looking for gems in Rhode Island, and last week we highlighted Airsoft down in Wakefield.
Dude, you know what? There's a whole bunch of them. There's 8 of them going again today. How great.
Yeah, what fun.
Airsoft Extreme, yep.
So we highlighted that. We highlight, and by the way, folks, we get paid nothing by anybody for anything. And I want to highlight that because when we talk about something, it's because we discovered it, we believe in it. So give us your gems and we'll highlight them, right? Anyhow, back to our concluding thoughts. Medical marijuana in the state of Rhode Island is in a position of chaos, manipulation, and it's ripe for corruption. We call upon the state of Rhode Island and the Department of Health to improve this circumstance. You heard from Marley, who has to operate in the shadows because of conflicted and ambiguous laws that tilt the playing field against small operators dedicated to their patients in favor of politically connected, profiteering dispensary centers that are marking the product up higher than it needs to be for cash. Now, why not have this be a state-run entity like DMV? Let them control all the money. Let them control all the dispensing. That's one solution. On the other hand, let's let these caregivers have a fair position in the marketplace. Do not use the police to intimidate them. Allow them a reasonable profit margin so they can survive. I got to tell you, Marley lives hand to mouth. Absolutely, just wondering where his next rent check is coming from. And he stays at it because he loves the results he sees his clients get. From the Department of Health, we need guidance and training. It's not enough to simply put on a piece of paper, have a doctor fill it out, and give them carte blanche. We should be trained in the proper dosing and parameters. A prescription should be written. What amount? How often? How much THC? Look, I can pick up a bottle of alcohol and know the proof. We should be able to have the same criteria with medical marijuana. We will circle back to this. This is an issue of intellectual medicine's concern regarding our public health. But before we turn it over to Tony DeJesus and the Big Blue Bug, I do want to highlight the ongoing information regarding testosterone and the NIH trial looking at men on testosterone. Now, at Intellectual Medicine, we believe that hormone replacement is one of the 4 cornerstones of living a long and youthful life. But folks, it has to be done thoughtfully and correctly. You cannot just make one dose and expect result. Now, in the study they found, we talked before about confirmation bias, they found that in men given topical testosterone gel over 65, 51,000 of them, an improvement in mood, sexual function, sexual desire, erectile function, improvement in bone density, and improvement in hemoglobin or blood count. Their conclusion, it's not worth doing. How do you make such a conclusion with so much positive outcomes? Confirmation bias. You see, they don't believe in this form of care, and they start out looking for reasons to not like it. And they decide that if you're 65, sexual issues shouldn't be a relevant feature anymore. Me, that's pompous. It's dismissive of patient self-interest. At Intellectual Medicine, we know and we believe that sexual vitality is connected to life force, and that you should be able to carry that to your grave. You should be able to celebrate that at age 100. Living 120 is a real possibility. Smearing on one dose of a prescription strength topical testosterone is primitive, inadequate, and not at all to the standard of intellectual medicine or the life extension movement. So you've got to be able to connect to providers who know what they're doing. We use combinations, injectables, topicals, including other things to support testicular function in men and in women. Without testosterone in women, their health and vitality will ultimately decline in an accelerated rate. So folks, keep an open mind, keep tuning into intellectual medicine, and keep reading. The information is out there. You will not get it from conventional medicine. They are too busy clicking buttons on their computer to worry about you living to be 120. You know the first thing doctors worry about when you step in the room, Shannon, the first thing on their mind?
How long is this note going to be?
Exactly. How
How
quickly
long is it gonna take me?
how quickly can I get this person out of here, and how many buttons do I need to click to make sure I get paid? Right? We'll talk about financial coercion going forward, but today's a feel-good day, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to turn it over coming up next to Tony DeJesus and the Big Blue Bug Solutions. Thank you to Nick behind the glass, our non-scholarship, hard-working, academically superlative intern. Shannon, great day. Congratulations again on your state license.
Thank you.
I know you're going to do great things for many, many patients. And thanks to Doug Lizette for his fantastic job on the news. I am Dr. Steve Petteruti. This is Intellectual Medicine. Have a beautiful week.